Hello, everybody, and welcome to Teacher's Whine. You're here with Jen and
Justine.
How's everybody doing?
Oh, what a week, Jen.
Yeah.
You guys are back to in-school learning. I guess everybody's in the middle of report card season, so it's super fun to be a teacher right now. How was your week, Jen?
I'm going to just say this with all the love in my heart that this felt like such a long week. And I don't think it has to do with any particular reason. I kept racking my brain to figure out factors as to why this is happening. And I just decided to put it up in the umbrella category of COVID, exhaustion. It's just so many changes. Every day there's a new rule. It just feels like we're swimming and we can't keep up with the current. So it's been very, very long. So I'm happy that this week is over.
Treading deep and dangerous waters.
You got it.
Well, I fractured my foot on the weekend.
Yep.
So that happened.
Got a great bruise, by the way.
Stubbed my toe really good, and that's great grammar on my part, but I teach phys ed, so don't judge me too much. Just kidding, that's not an excuse. But so when we chatted last time, we were talking about how I was excited to start getting to my exercise routines a little bit more, but now I sadly have to push that off for only about 3 weeks. Otherwise, it's just been tons of different information for myself coming from the 6 schools that I teach at and just trying to navigate my report cards right now, which is probably feeling a little similar to how you've been feeling.
Yeah, just feels like different expectations. And this year with COVID, the way we've taught our classes are different. So the comments are different. So again, just more new rules upon everything that we're so used to. And I don't know, maybe this is me just reflecting. I think I've taken for granted how much I know about certain things when it comes to work or even my life, I guess. And COVID's definitely testing me with, here's a new thing. Here's this thing to get used to. So I don't know if you feel the same way.
Oh, I've had this conversation with my husband a lot where we've chatted just about even, this has not as much to do with teaching, but even the negativity we just see constantly on Facebook and just the 2 sides to COVID and all this. And what we've come to the conclusion is, you know what? We're humble enough to admit when we don't know things. Mm-hmm. And I cannot tell you what's right or wrong about COVID, but all I can do is my part to try to protect the people that I love. And so that's where we're at with that.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful way to describe it, to be honest. I think you did a really good job of saying that. I completely agree. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So what we wanted to discuss today, and we're hoping it helps our listeners, is kind of just how to keep our kids engaged, I guess, online. And the reason I say online too, I know we're back to school learning, but what's happening, I don't know if you guys out there listening are feeling the same way, but you have kids that are in isolation. There's kids I haven't seen since we've been back to work because of the protocols that are in place, whether they tested positive or they've been in close contact. So I thought we could discuss kind of what we're doing to keep things, I guess,
engaging.
Yeah, engaging, online engaging, digitally engaging. I'm not too sure.
Motivational, inspirational. Yeah. And so I don't know how it is working in other countries or in other provinces or anything like that, but just for all the listeners out there, hopefully that we have. With our school board, you could be teaching online or you could be teaching in the classroom. And if you're teaching in the classroom, it's not just in the classroom because exactly like Jen just said, for the protocols that are in place, students who might have been a close contact to COVID need to go home and they're online learning. So for Jen, she's not just teaching in the classroom. She is also teaching a couple kids online as well.
Yeah. So for me, it's just a simple thing of right now, just the buddy system, putting a kid who's away on isolation with someone that's obviously not, and hopefully they can relay the actual instruction. Mm-hmm. But I'm constantly posting tasks on multiple forums, which is also exhausting in itself sometimes, right?
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite online tools that you've used with the kids?
So my first and foremost favorite, which I'm sure the kids would agree, and I'll go right to it, is Kahoot. For 2 reasons. One, the actual website has so many free available quizzes that you can use, but also tweak. So right now in science, we're learning about the basics of chemistry. Well, if my kids haven't gotten to a certain concept, I can take that question right out. Mm-hmm. And it's literally the click of a button. So that's been super engaging, whether we were learning online or we're in class. That's been awesome to do. to tailor it to like the specifics of my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been pretty awesome. I do love that one.
Yeah. And my kids constantly ask me for Kahoots. Constantly. The problem that I found with Kahoot, like you said, they do have a lot of amazing quizzes out there already built. I find it hard to search for specific phys ed ones because when you actually go into the categories for your filters on your searches, they don't have a phys ed option. However, they have tons of phys ed quizzes. They're just a little harder to find. You need to know exactly what you want your quiz on and kind of search it up. I actually use Google and search Kahoot and then whatever it is, and then I find it that way. I'm not great with technology, however, so it's still a learning process for me, and that's just the easiest way for me to do it now.
That's very interesting, though. I wouldn't even have thought about that being difficult, so that's probably like a good thing to put out there.
Yeah, so that has been my experience with it. I created my own quiz for them for phys ed last week, actually, and of course, they always love it. They want to win.
Yeah.
Sometimes another problem, they know that speed is taken into consideration for their answers too. And sometimes they'll try to answer the question before fully reading it.
Yeah, that happens regardless.
I know. I was going to say, as that word sentence came out of my mouth, I was just like, that happens for tests and quizzes too.
All the time. Yeah, they just want to get it done. And you're like, what? You know this though.
I don't like reading.
Absolutely. But yeah, so that's one of my favorites. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Mm-hmm. The other one that I really like, and I don't know if this is just a complete like Jen thing, I love Wordles and word clouds. I don't know if that's just me now. I don't know if it's because maybe it's one of the first things I saw when I was learning to become a teacher. Mm-hmm. But the reason I do love it, and maybe I'll let everybody know kind of what happens after when we're done this unit. But when we started teaching online, I just asked the kids, what comes to your brain when it comes to like chemistry or matter or chemical change, right? As the common terms used in grade 9 science. And we just brainstormed a bunch of ideas and we talked about kind of what maybe the generic people think about science and chemistry. And then what's going to be interesting is when we wrap up this unit to see what kids actually have learned, even if it's the basics, just understanding like protons on a periodic table to full blown, actual compounds and how they interact with one another, regardless of the outcome. I think comparing their knowledge in a very visually appealing way with words to what they know after, I think will be super interesting.
Jen loves visually appealing things.
I do. Yeah, I'm a visual learner as well, so that adds to the chaos a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of my second tool that I don't know if you guys have had success out there, but it's one thing that I really do love because you can compare them so easy.
Yeah, and it's just right there for them to see immediately.
Yeah, and it's interactive for them too, right? Because when we were online, the kids typed up the words on a Google Doc and then I put them in the generator for the word cloud, right? So yeah, we'll see how it goes when we're done this unit.
So did you get any inappropriate words? Or are your kids actually awesome?
They're pretty good. That only really just comes down to the expectation that we set in September when we were learning in person at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
We're really clear about things like that and making sure. Plus I'm monitoring it the whole time, right? So yeah, I've been lucky with the bunch that I've had this year.
Are there any other tools that you specifically use?
Yeah, the other one that I really liked, and I think the kids actually enjoyed it, was Padlet. So what I did was I just put the picture of like the question that I wanted them to ask and just had them individually comment, but they had to like put their name on it. So I knew who was responding to what. And that was really cool too, because it kind of felt, I think on their minds, I think they felt like they were commenting to like an Instagram post. So that was kind of cool, but it was cool to even just, they themselves be like, oh, this is really cool. Oh, that's what you're writing. Okay, well, I can't feed off of that. So I have to add something new to it. And there's also like, when you give them a limitation of, you can't add what someone else has written, it becomes a mad dash, right? I have to get my idea down before someone else steals it, right? And that was all done while we were learning completely online. So that was really fun too, and just keeps them accountable, right? Because if their name's on it, they have to, I know who's participating and who's not instantly, and you can see it, right? And the ones that aren't, of course, I'm emailing parents, right?
Yeah.
Your child has signed into a meeting but hasn't participated in anything. Of course, I didn't word it that way, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was just like, that sounds like a lot of work if I were to email every single parent whose kid didn't talk in mine. And then I had to, in my head, go, okay, but she has a lot less in one group than I might have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are really neat.
Yeah, wherever our comments are or our links, I'll put them down below.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And what about you? What are you doing to keep it engaging? Because you've been online since the start of the school year.
Oh, yes. And online phys ed is super interactive all the time. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we're almost in semester 2 now. So my first semester has been a lot of trial and error, seeing what works, what doesn't. I have been trying to pull kids into my teaching page through the platform that we use specifically with our school board. And what I started doing was posting challenge videos that we found on YouTube. So there are so many different challenges that you can do with them, from put a toilet paper roll on your head, now lie down and stand back up, to do a handstand and try to put a sweatshirt on, and a lot of stuff in between. We did some cool bottle flip stuff, and it didn't have to be a bottle flip. I flipped a pylon, and then I tried to flip another pylon on top of a second pylon. So whoever walked by the gym that day just heard thunk, thunk for a while. So that's been really interesting to see what some of the kids have put out there. One of the trick shots that a kid did, they made a paper airplane and hung up a hula hoop, and they looped it through. So it went over top and back in.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was really cool. And it was really neat to see some of the skills that kids had. One girl, I can't remember what the actual challenge was. I actually think it was trick shots again, but she ran her dog through an agility course just to show me that, like, some of the cool things that she could get. She's like, it's not really a trick shot, but this is what I spent a long time trying to get my dog to do this. So I wanted to show it off. And so it was just a space, I guess, where kids could show off, because who doesn't like doing that?
Yeah, and it still goes back to them being active, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's that aspect of it too. I don't know how active the airplane one was, but I mean, there's a thing about targets and that they need to hit. So I found that really interesting for skill assessment. I haven't made it a mandatory thing just because that's a lot, but moving into the second semester, I'm thinking of asking them to pick 5 different challenges and doing that so I can evaluate their skills a little bit better. But besides that, I'm trying out another new tool, which is Flipgrid. I know it's been around for a while, but I haven't tried it yet. And so I'm excited to try this next week. And what Flipgrid essentially is you can pose a question, and then kids are going to create a video right on Flipgrid and submit it to you. You can say it can't be more than this amount of time and put stipulations on it like that. So what I'm planning on doing is, the floor is lava, and I'm going to give the kids 30 minutes of their class time next week, where they're going to have to get from one side of the room to the other side of the room, not touching the floor. And obviously I'm going to have an option for those kids who don't like recording themselves. But I'm very excited to see how this goes. And from what I hear, Flipgrid has been incredible for so many teachers. So it's a tool I'm very excited to learn and explore a little bit more.
No, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And then getting the kids to like interact while they make their video, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, that sounds great. Mm-hmm. And then I know you and I were playing around with it earlier. So I had to mention this to you guys. Why don't you talk about, I call it the smart basketball because I know nothing about anything when it comes to this. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit more about what you brought into work that day?
There's this really cool product that popped up on my Facebook, and often when this has happened and I bit on those ads, I end up with like a see-through piece of clothing. So I'm so glad that didn't happen this time. But I've tried out this really cool product called Dribble Up. And so what it is, it's a smart basketball. They also have smart soccer balls and smart medicine balls for home workouts.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really neat. I only have the basketball, and it's kind of a dribble training program. So it comes with a stand. You put your smart device in, you get their app, and then it'll be looking at you. And when you're dribbling, it puts these little circles up on your screen where you have to have the ball dribbled to. And so then when the ball hits that circle, it moves on to the next one. And then it tells you how many targets you hit in each session. You can do live classes too. So it ends up being more of a workout, not just working on your basketball skills. So while I'm interested in basketball, I still can get a workout from doing that as well, which I have found really neat. And I mean, this is a tool that we can't really just give out to all the kids, but I can show them some of these workouts, and maybe if they have a basketball at home, they can kind of follow along to what I'm doing. And I mean, if they're trying to improve their basketball skills, all the touches are what's important. But this product is super cool. And yeah, I'm really into it right now.
Well, that was what I was going to add is I think it's great for you to keep that like active lifestyle up as we were discussing earlier. Mm-hmm. But then also I think it's really important because when our kids see us model something like that, whether it is like your thing because you're very into sports versus me who just kind of like wants to do my workout. But when you're modeling it and you're doing it through online, they're just going to pick it up way more. Yeah. Right? So I think that's what's super, super important. With a cool tool like that, yeah, maybe they go out and buy it or they don't, but at least they're able to see and engage with that idea of, oh, here's my female teacher doing this cool thing with the basketball, right? Yeah. I think it hits so many levels that our kids need to see.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that it can be a little bit motivating, and I'm planning on putting some of these videos onto my Instagram page, which is Fuller Phys Ed. And I'm hoping that I can try out a bunch of different home workout tools and things like that my kids can go to and see me doing, and then maybe it'll be a little bit of motivation for them.
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. I'm super excited to see how it all rolls out in the next semester.
Yeah. The foot's put a little bit of a damper on things, but that's just my luck. I was going to say us Trotta-shodes, that's my maiden name. We're quite accident prone. If you look at any of us, my husband and my mom had a conversation about that the other day, apparently, and they just made fun of us.
That actually makes sense.
My dad once broke his toe in his pant pocket. His pants are on the ground. He stepped on them with one foot, brought the other foot through, caught it in the pocket, and broke his toe.
Oh my God.
So that's just a little, he's the most accident prone, but that's just a little insight to
the craziness that is Justine.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, Jen. So I think we're going to head into our final segment before we let all our lovely listeners go.
After we dismiss you.
Sorry, we just keep laughing too because we're like, oh, we might be the only ones who listen to this, so we don't know what we're talking about.
Though. We're hoping that you guys are actually there and enjoying this.
Yeah, that's our fingers crossed, but we'll see. So we're going to go into a segment that we're calling Why Justine Should Be on Survivor.
Yeah. So you all know what Survivor is, and I'm hoping you do. You've been around for what feels like my entire life. Yours too.
And if you don't know, then it is a show where you're put on an island with strangers and you vote people off and you win money at the end. So I want to be on this show extremely bad, and Canadians have been able to apply for the last couple years now. So after I had my first kid, I put in a video. And it was not enticing enough, so I thought that I would push a personal agenda on our podcast. So my first immediate thought about why I should be on Survivor is because I love eating rice.
Yeah. And so the other thing too with Survivor is you don't have any of the stuff for modern convenience. I don't think we mentioned that. So you are on an island with more or less nothing, right? And so you see cast members start off at the beginning and at the end, they're like a frail versions of themselves, more or less, right? So yeah, absolutely. You love rice, so that'll be easy. Okay, why else?
I am extremely competitive. I don't really have a stop button. I tell myself every time I would go to the gym, and so I was going to Orange Theory before, and every time I would go to Orange Theory, I'd be like, ugh, I'm not feeling it, but if I cancel now, I lose my money. So I'm going to go and I'll just take it easy. And I get there and I look around and I see people running harder than me, and I'm like, nope, I gotta go faster. And I end up not being able to walk very much well after.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm just that person where I can't let somebody beat me.
Yeah. No, she really is, though. It's weird. But also not, because she teaches PE, so it kind of makes sense.
I just don't think I necessarily come across that way every day until you see me in that atmosphere. In that mode. And you're like, oh. And it's not against kids ever.
Nope.
Unlike other teachers we have here. Well, no. Just no names.
Like competitive? I don't know.
I've seen some other phys ed teachers throw dodgeballs like way too hard at some kids. And maybe I'm just jealous because I can't throw it that hard.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. No. And then what's the third reason you should be on Survivor?
I think I'm very good at reading people. So I think that I would hopefully have a good sense of where I stand with other people, whether that's realizing that, oh man, I need to really scramble here to stay here, or if it's sneakily, I'll put in air quotes, leading the charge, I guess. I wouldn't ever want to be known as like the person really calling the shots, but I think I would be able to get a good sense of what I needed to do socially to last longer.
I would agree with that. She's got a great sense of empathy and a great sense of awareness too, which are two hard things to find in a combination of one person sometimes. Yeah, so I would agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's all I got for this time. If we're going to make it a segment, I can't spill all my secrets. Are there any final thoughts from you, Jen?
No, other than just happy that we're kind of back into the swing of things.
Yeah, keep pushing, everybody. You're doing great. Make sure you're leaning on your supports when you need to, and stay healthy, stay safe. And thanks for whining with us.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.